I was born in a Punjabi middle-class family in Kashmir. Since I was the firstborn, my parents were expecting a son. But then I came. So my birth was not a matter of celebration. My parents were disappointed to see a girl. I still remember my father mentioning during my early childhood that when you were born, I was so disappointed that I curled my mustache down. The ideas that I was exposed to while growing up were that a girl is a liability, that a girl does not have the ability to carry the family lineage forward. And this attitude, this mindset was beyond my understanding. I used to wonder, why is a girl not celebrated? Why is she not welcome when she is born? Why is she considered a liability? And what is this all about, carrying the family lineage forward? What does this really mean? So the moment I was born, right from my arrival on this planet, I faced rejection. And all I wanted was acceptance. And the only way for me to get that acceptance was to do whatever my parents wanted me to do, to be the person that they wanted me to be. Due to their own circumstances, my parents, they could not complete their education. So the only dream they had for me was to study well, to shine in academics, to get into a nice, secure, reasonable, nice job and live a secure life, and of course get married. That was their dream for me, and their dream was my dream. So I ended up becoming a recluse, a social recluse, a loner, and a complete bookworm. So the beliefs that I grew up with were that I am fat, I am ugly, I am a liability, I am unwanted. All these beliefs made me feel really, really inferior, made me feel that I am not good enough. I had this ingrained belief in myself that I'm a loser. I'm not here, I cannot please anybody, nobody can accept me for who I am. I remember this one incident which happened when I was in the second standard. There was this English recitations test happening in my class, and English was my weak point because I came from a Punjabi family, we used to speak in Hindi, so English, I was not very conversant with English. So I was really scared, and the recitation test started. I started reciting the poem, and I kept fumbling, I kept forgetting the lines, I was stuttering. My teacher got so pissed off, she started shouting at me and she started scolding me. And I still remember, she said, you know what, you're such a loser, you can't utter a single English word properly. You can never speak good English, you can never write good English. And speaking in public is something you should never try. As if all of this was not enough, she called one of her favorite students and asked her to slap me tightly on my face. This was so humiliating, and it shattered my self-esteem, my self-confidence like nothing. That was the time when I started believing, when this belief got even more reinforced, that I am not good enough. I am a loser. I am good for nothing. So I ended up becoming a recluse, I further cocooned myself, and I just focused on studying and getting good grades because I was good at studies, and that was the only way I could get acceptance from the world. So I ended up completing my engineering from Pune University, and I was one of the toppers there. I landed a good job in one of the MNCs in Bangalore, and I also got married at the same time. So we shifted base to Bangalore. So according to the conventional definition of a good life, my life was good. I was successful, I was accomplished. But in spite of all these accomplishments, there was a strange void which I used to feel inside of me. I was not enjoying the job that I was doing, the profession that I was in. I always felt this is not what I really want to do. There is something else that I have to do, but I don't know what that something is. I did not have the answer at that point in time. But after a few years, I did this job. It was like a Herculean task for me, getting up every morning, going to the office, doing the same job day in and day out. I was literally dragging myself to the office. After a few years, I could not take this anymore. This was very stifling, very frustrating. So I decided to quit my job. I spoke to my husband. He is my best friend, and I told him that I want to quit. I'm not happy doing what I'm doing. And there was one sentence which he said, which actually changed the course of my life, and that was, Rinku, do whatever gives you happiness at this point in your life. Happiness? But I thought I was happy. I thought happiness is to make others happy. To please others is happiness. But if this was happiness, then why am I not happy? What is the missing piece? What is the real definition of happiness? That is when the journey of introspection started, journey of discovering myself started. So I quit my job, and it was not easy. Trust me, it was really not easy. Everybody, people around me, my parents, They were like really disapproving of my decision. How can you quit such a good job? How can you just leave a career like that? You're losing out on your financial independence. So all of these things were bombarding me, making me feel even more guilty. But I had decided, something inside me had changed, and I suddenly had the courage to face all my fears. I had decided that now I want to be a full-time homemaker and a mother. And I celebrated my motherhood to its core. I gave birth to a healthy baby boy, and I was there for that child when the child needed me the most. So I was very happy in whatever I was doing, but still there was something missing still in my life. I was deeply into spirituality, meditation. I used to meditate a lot. I used to introspect a lot. And that is when I started questioning the absurdities of life. Everybody around wants happiness, but nobody seems to be happy. Everybody's struggling to be happy. Everybody wants to be really healthy, fit, but when I look around, I don't find as many healthy people. There are so many illnesses. Everybody wants happy, healthy relationships, but when I look around, so many relationships are breaking, families are breaking. Why is that so? When I open the newspaper every single day, I feel really disheartened going through news like, okay, there was this young man who got hit by a truck. He was lying in a pool of blood on the road, and people were clicking pictures. People were making videos. And nobody went there and helped that poor man, and that man ended up dying. Looking at all of this apathy, this indifference around me, it used to hurt me. But I decided that instead of just sitting and cribbing and moaning about it and feeling sorry about it, what is it that I can do to create a change? I started questioning myself. And that is when I got an opportunity to work with an NGO as a part-time volunteer. This was the new beginning of my life. This was a new turn in my life. This is where I realized that there are so many people out there who really, really want you. They want your love. They genuinely want your compassion. My IT job did not require me. It can do without me, but there are people who need me, who I can really contribute to. I realized that when you give happiness to others, when you do something for others, you feel happiness from deep within, happiness that is beyond imagination. This is when I started realizing my real potentials, and I found out that this is my passion. Contributing selflessly is my passion. I was naturally good at counseling, coaching. I did not have a background of counseling and coaching, but I was naturally good at it. People started liking my sessions, they started demanding more for my sessions, and they were looking forward to meeting me, sharing their deepest pains with me. And here I was a person who was so insecure, who felt so inferior. Suddenly I had people around me looking up to me for inspiration, for motivation. That is when my opinion of me started changing. This was a self-discovery journey for me, a journey of profound new insights. I started realizing, okay, if I can motivate these people, if they are looking up to me for inspiration, for hope, that means I'm not what I thought I was. I'm somebody else. So this shift in my thinking and emotions about myself, I don't know when it actually happened, but it was a gradual process. And I started seeing myself very differently. I started loving myself. I started respecting myself for who I was. So I realized that when you give and contribute unconditionally, you do end up developing self-love. The best way to develop self-love is to give, contribute unconditionally. This was my takeaway. However, now I wanted to take this to the next level. I wanted to reach out to more and more people and create a difference in their lives. But there was one big challenge lying ahead of me, that of speaking in public. I was told that I can never speak in public, and I had told myself umpteen times that, Rinku, you can never ever speak in public. You can never speak in English. It's not something that you can ever do. It's not your cup of tea. That is when I questioned myself, Rinku, is this fear so big that you want to lose out on this opportunity? After so many years, you got this clarity. After so many years, this void has started filling up. You're feeling so fulfilled now. Do you want to just leave it because of your fears? Is it really worth it? I questioned myself, and the answer I got was, yes, I have the fear, but now I'm ready to face this fear, walk through this fear, because I really want to know what lies ahead of this fear. What is on the other side of this fear? I want to see. This was the time when my mentor gave me an opportunity to speak on a platform in an auditorium which was packed to a capacity of 250 people for 10 minutes. I was caught unawares. I was not prepared to speak, but my mentor had that belief in me. He believed in my capabilities more than I believed in myself. So I believed in his belief in me. And I stepped on the stage. The moment I stepped on the stage, I felt as if everything fell silent. I felt as if the time stopped and I started speaking. And the moment I started speaking, I felt a very strange strength inside of me, a new power. I felt so powerful. This was a feeling, this was an emotion which I had never ever experienced before in my life. And yes, I did not feel out of place. It was like homecoming for me. I felt as if that stage was talking to me and that stage was telling me, welcome home, Rinku. This is where you belong. This is who you really are. I could hear my little voice telling me, Rinku, this is who you are. This is your place. This is your home. The moment I stepped off the stage and started walking back, walking through that applause, when I saw into my mentor's eyes, I saw that pride in his eyes. And I now knew, yes, I have found my power back. I have claimed that power back, that power, that strength that was always sitting inside of me. But somehow I had chosen to lock it in my fears. I had chosen to give that power away. But today I could claim that power back, and the only way I could do that was walking through my fears. Today, whatever I have accomplished today, it's a result of walking through all my fears. Today, I am a successful entrepreneur, I am a motivational speaker, I'm a personal excellence coach, and I'm an author of an English book. All of this would not have been possible had I not decided to walk through my fears. I don't share this to boast about myself, to impress. No, that's not the idea. I want to inspire that if somebody like me, who was so full of inferiority complex, who was so shy, who never believed in herself, who hated herself, if somebody like me can accomplish this, anybody and everyone can accomplish it. It's possible. All you have to do is just don't be fearful of your fears. Walk through them. Because your fears are here to make you, to make you that person who will go there and grab those dreams. Today when I look back, I can barely recognize myself. When I compare that Rinku with this Rinku today, it's like two different personalities. It's been like a new birth for me. When I look into the mirror today, I see a woman who is confident, who is smart, who is beautiful, who is here to create a difference, to create a world that she envisions. I see a woman who is enough. So all I want to tell everybody here is that we are all enough. We are not here to live a mediocre life. We are not mediocre human beings. We are all meant for exceptional, extraordinary lives. We are masters. We can do it. All you need to do is walk through your fears, contribute, give unconditionally, and yes, don't forget to listen to this little heart, because your heart knows who you are, and what you're meant to be and do. So I invite all of you to go back home today, look into the mirror, and tell that person in the mirror, you are enough. Trust me, all of us are enough. Everything is within us. Thank you.